Hey guys, what's going on? This is Greg. This is the first video in a long time. I don't have my usual script for this video. This is going to be kind of a quickie, and I hope you won't hold me to the usual theological rules because this is meant to be kind of fun. I was going over with the kids. I was actually teaching the kids yesterday in Shabbat. Some of you might have seen my post on Facebook, but we were talking about the greatest commandment here in Matthew chapter 22, verses 34 through 40. This is where Yeshua tells the Pharisees that the greatest of all the commandments is to love Yahweh your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. I was trying to teach these kids a song and the motions and stuff. And then it says the second, of course, is to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, something really cool is the whole Torah can be found in this chapter. Like I said, it's a little loose, but consider this. In the first gospel, in the 22nd chapter, we do find all five of the first books, the first five books. And the first example of that would be earlier in the chapter, really only two verses up. In verse 32, we see Yeshua saying, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, or quoting from that. Anyway, and this is cool because Genesis is really all about the story of, once you get past creation, of course, and the flood, it's the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is where the house of Israel, the people of God, came from. So here in the chapter that says, on these two commandments, love God, love people, hang all of the law and the prophets, which you can actually find is Matthew 22 is really loaded. So okay, you've got the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob there. What about the Exodus? Well, in verse 9, as he's talking about this parable of the wedding feast, he says to go to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many people as you can find. The word here for roads in the Greek is a compound word that actually includes the word, let me click it correctly here, sorry. It includes the word for Exodus. Right there, you can see it. So when he says go out into the highway, what he's saying is go to where all of the roads terminate into one spot. So it is like the main exit off the road. So there is the Exodus mentioned. Okay, what about Leviticus? Well, for Leviticus, we have probably the most famous verse from Leviticus, and that's the one that says, love your neighbor as yourself. That is a citation from Leviticus 19:18. So Leviticus is mentioned here. Now Numbers. Numbers is fun. This chapter has arguably more number references in it than any other chapter. I don't know. Don't test me on that. But I was looking at it and realized, it says he invited all of the people to the wedding. None of them showed up. In this chapter, there is the famous verse 14, which says, many are called, but few are chosen. I mean, hey, that's numerical. And then, of course, right after that, we have this parable by the Pharisees about the resurrection, and they mention this woman who was married to all seven brothers, and it literally goes through and mentions the first, the second, the third, all the way to the seventh. So there we have Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and the last one left is Deuteronomy. Well, the greatest commandment, of course, is Deuteronomy 6:5, which is cited here. But this is pretty cool because Yeshua mentions the second commandment, and the word for second in the Greek is the word deuteros, which you may or may not know this, but the name of the book, Deuteronomy, really, if you go to Latin, it's like deuteros nomos. You put that together, it's basically the second telling of the law. Since Deuteronomy contains a repeat of most of the commandments that are found previously in the Torah. So there you go. So consider that. In the first gospel, in the 22nd chapter, you have all five books mentioned. And also, Yeshua sums up the law and the prophets by mentioning the first and the second greatest commandments. So anyway, I think that's something fun to kind of stick in your head, help you remember Matthew 22, and something you might be able to share with your kids. So I hope that was a blessing. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.